Now we come to extra-articular features. What are the risk factors for extra-articular manifestations? They are smoking, seropositivity. What does this mean? That they are either RF factor positive or ACPA positive. Early onset of disability, subcutaneous nodules, and this can occur even prior to the onset of arthritis. So patients with active arthritis, sorry for this. Patients with active arthritis, sorry for this, have low grade fever. And patients with, if patients with RA have high grade fever, plus gangrene, plus mononeuritis multiplex, we should suspect rheumatoid vasculitis, also known as malignant rheumatoid arthritis. The most common extra-articular manifestation is constitutional symptoms, followed by subcutaneous nodules. Now we come to a very important complication or an extra articular manifestation, that is cervical spine disability. So RA basically spares the thoracic or lumbar spine and involves only C1 and C2. And what are the risk factors for this involvement? Long-standing disease, erosive disease, glucocorticoid use, treatment failure, and early onset of the disease. That is disease onset at an earlier age. So what is the most common symptom of cervical spine involvement? It is occipital headache or pain. It can start with here, with this, and it can lead to a complication, that is quadriplegia, that is spastic in nature. All right. So this can happen. Now, what is the most common type of cervical spine involvement? Most common type of cervical spine involvement is atlanto axial subluxation. Followed by basilar invagination, and followed by subaxial subluxation. What I told you earlier, quadriplegia can have a spastic character plus sensory loss in the hands. Plus medullary dysfunction. Okay. So now we have a parameter known as AADI, atlantoaxial dense interval. And we have another known as PADI, that is posterior atlanto dense interval, also called as space left for chord. So atlantoaxial dense interval normal value is less than 3 millimeter. Instability starts at more than 3.5 mm. Dysfunction of LR ligament is indicated at more than 7 mm, and more than 10 mm is indication for surgery. This is very important. Along with this, the posterior atlanto dense interval of space available for chord, if it is the value here we need to remember is less than 14 mm. If it is less than 14 mm, then it is an indication for surgery. All right. So now what we are going to do is we are going to go for rheumatoid nodules. So what are the risk factors for rheumatoid nodules? The risk factors for rheumatoid nodules are as follows. High disease activity. There are markers for disease activity such as S-DI, C-DI, and DAS 28. Disease activity score 28, clinical disease activity index, and subjective disease activity index. So these indices, if they are high, then this denotes high disease activity. If there is a shared epitope, epitope is the smallest unit that is capable of inducing immunogenicity. If this epitope is shared between the antigen, that is the antigen as well as this epitope is shared by many people, so they have a genetic preponderance for rheumatoid nodules. Then another is seropositivity. That is RF factor positivity or ACPI positivity. Then they have radiographic erosions. And then they have drugs. When drugs cause rheumatoid nodules, they are known as accelerated rheumatoid nodulosis. The culprit drugs are methotrexate and etanercept. So what are the rheumatoid nodules basically? Rheumatoid nodules are basically subcutaneous, non-tender, mobile, painless, adherent to organs, pleura, pericardium, or bursa, or even tendons. They are present, say for example, in elbow, they are present distal 1 to 2 centimeters to the olecranon. Alright. And what is the incidence of rheumatoid nodules? The incidence of rheumatoid nodules is 30 to 40%. And this is the same incidence for extra articular manifestations in rheumatoid arthritis, 30 to 40%. Now we come to the lung manifestations. In case of lung manifestations, the most common is pleuritis, followed by pleural effusion. In case of pleural effusion, it is 75% unilateral, 25% bilateral. It is exudative. It is mixed cellularity. pH of around 7.4, very high LDH, high protein of around 4 grams, more than 4 grams, and glucose is reduced to less than 25 milligram per deciliter. So this is the glucose being very less is a very big clue. They also have multinucleate giant cells that are characteristic, but present only in 50% of the cases. Another thing that happens here is ILD. So in case of ILD, the most common ILD here is UIP, usual interstitial pneumonia. It is sometimes equivalent to IPF, but actually it is slightly different. The main important feature is UIP has usually good prognosis as compared to IPF. But in RA, the prognosis of UIP is worse than IPF. Worse prognosis. and it has PFT. In PFT, it has a restrictive pattern, that is FVC is reduced, FEV1 can be reduced or normal, and DLCO is reduced. Another pulmonary manifestation is Kaplan syndrome. And this Kaplan syndrome is Cole Workers pneumoconiosis, PCWP plus RA. PWCP, sorry, Cole. Progressive Cole Workers pneumoconiosis. Then we come to cardiac. The most common cardiac manifestation pericardial effusion. In echo, we can find it out to be around 50% present, and it is less than 10% symptomatic. There can be granulomatous, myocarditis. There can be premature CAD or MI, that is the most common cause of death because of increased acute phase reactants causing lipogenic blood. Then valvular heart disease. Most common valvular heart disease is mitral regurgitation. Most common valve affected is mitral valve. Now we come to rheumatoid vasculitis. So it occurs in long-standing disease. In seropositive patients, that is RF positivity or ACPA positivity with low complements, and its occurrence is less than 1%. Here less than 1% we saw in DIP also. So here there can be vasculitic ulcer, can be digital gangrene, can be purpura. Alright, these things are going to be there. Then we have skin features. The skin features are vasculitic purpura, gangrene, sweet syndrome, that is neutrophilic dermatosis, pyoderma gangrenosum, renal anomaly. Most common cause of renal dysfunction is now amyloidosis, that is secondary amyloidosis. Previously, when we used to use gold D-penicillamine, we used to have membranous glomerulonephritis. Not anymore. And now hematological anomalies. So most common malignancy associated with RA is diffuse large B cell lymphoma. Another one is Felty syndrome, occurs in late stages. RA plus neutropenia plus splenomegaly. While in case of large granular cell lymphoma, it is seen in new onset RA with neutropenia with moderate splenomegaly. In Felties, we have a gross splenomegaly. Now we come to hematological anomalies. In this, ESR and CRP are going to be raised. They are acute phase reactants. That is normal, natural. Here there is a point in which therapy CRP should not be used for monitoring. The answer is tocilizumab, because it is a IL-6 receptor blocker and CRP is a direct function of IL-6. So now we come to individual cell lines, the RBCs, the WBCs, the platelets. In case of RBCs, anemia, that will be anemia of chronic disease, which will be normochromic, normocytic. WBCs, they will be reduced. Most common cause of reduction of this is going to be drug induced. Example, methotrexate or autoimmune hemolytic anemia. Alright. Platelets, this is very important. There is going to be thrombocytosis, because platelet is also acute phase reactant. Thrombocytopenia and ITP, these two things are very, very rare. Alright. Now we come to another manifestation, which is osteoporosis. Osteoporosis is seen in 20 to 30% of the patients because of disease proper or glucocorticoid induced osteoporosis. This is a standard abbreviation, GIOP. And hip fracture is basically a predictor of disability and mortality in RA. This is very important. Hip fracture is a predictor of mortality plus disability in RA. Then hypoandrogenism. This is because of decreased LH, decreased testosterone, decreased DHEAS, This is because of disease proper also, or because of glucocorticoids, and it may need an androgen supplementation. Now we come to the classification criteria. Classification criteria, which is the ACR criteria. So first is the entry criteria. Whenever you see Harrison's, they have a footnote always in the tables, and there they give the entry criteria. So we actually basically we lose out on it because we don't read the footnotes, we read the tables. So at the footnote in Harrison it is given at least one joint with definite clinical synovitis that is not explained by any other cause. One joint with definite clinical synovitis not explained by any cause or USG or MRI. So now joints, it's divided into joints, serology, acute phase reactants, and duration. In case of joints, one large joint, 2 to 10 large joints, 1 to 3 small joints, 4 to 10 small joints, and more than 10 small joints. What is the score? One large joint, score is 0. 2 to 10 large joints, the score is 1. Then 1 to 3 small joints, score is 2. Then it is 3 for 4 to 10 large joints, and for more than 10 it is 5. What we need to remember is if 10 small joints are involved, still the score is 3. It is not 5. For more than 10 it is 5. That is something we need to remember. Serology, RF and ACPA. So if they are negative, score is 0. If they are positive but less than 3 times the upper limit of normal, the score is 2. And then they are positive with more than 3 times upper limit of normal, score is 3. Now we come to acute phase reactants. If normal CRP or ESR, the score is 0. If they are raised, then score is 1. Duration is less than 6 weeks or more than 6 weeks. 0, 1. Alright. So now we come to ACPA and RF. In case of ACPA and RF, what we need to remember is it is the IgM antibody against the FC portion of IgG antibody. So RF is of many types: IgM, IgD, IgA, IgE, and IgG. So M is the most common of the RF factor. Actually, it's not only IgM, there are 5 types. IgM is the most common, IgD is the least common, Ig is associated with vasculitis, IgE and IgG Both are associated with extra-articular manifestations and erosions. And what is the specific method for assessment? The quantitative method or the semi-quantitative method is for assessment of both is latex agglutination. While the best method is ELISA or nephelometry or turbidimetry. And RF plus ACPA have an incremental value. But have only 10% discordance. There is another antibody known as anti-HNRNP. HNRNP, previously known as anti-RA33. This shows positive outcome. That is, it is protective. Another antibody that is in presence of 16% of ACPA negativity, this antibody is positive, which is anti-carbamylated antibody. So after this, what is the sensitivity and specificity of RF and ACPA? The sensitivity is the same, 75 to 80%, while the specificity remains different, around 60% for RF, while it is 95 to 96% in case of ACPA. Then after this, RF is basically RF factor positivity is present in many other features also. RF factor positivity is seen in other patients also. 10 to 15% RF positivity is seen in normal population. Okay. Other conditions in which it is positive is Sjogren syndrome, mixed connective tissue disorder, essential mixed cryoglobulinemia type 2 and type 3, SLE, subacute bacterial endocarditis, and hepatitis B and hepatitis C. So here it is positive in all these conditions. Now in conventional X-ray, what are the findings we see? We see juxta-articular osteopenia, soft tissue swelling, symmetrical joint space loss or narrowing, subchondral erosions. We need to make a note of this here. It is subchondral erosions and not subchondral sclerosis. Sclerosis of subchondral region is seen in osteoarthritis. And what is the view that we see in X-ray, which is very important. It is the Nogart's view or the ball catcher's view, which is at the base of the proximal phalanx. Ball catcher's Nogart's view. In the foot, it is the lateral aspect of fifth MTP. The little toe is first involved. MRI has greater sensitivity while USG has operator dependence. So this is the main problem. Now what are the outcomes or indicators for shortened survival? Of decreased survival. Extraarticular manifestations, decreased FVC on spirometry. We can correlate this with ILD and UIP, which has worse prognosis. Low socioeconomic status, low education. Actually, these 2 points, the patient is not going to seek help, medical help. That is the reason why there is shortened survival. And chronic prednisolone use. Okay. Now we come to what are the outcome measures. So the ACR and Euler definition of RA, that is the ACR and Euler criteria for remission in RA, it is also known as the Boolean criteria. It shows tender joint count less than 1, swollen joint count less than 1, CRP less than 1 milligram per deciliter. Patient global assessment, it is very important. It is patient global assessment, because there is another thing known as physician global assessment, and we are here looking for only patient global assessment. Less than 1 on a scale of 1 to 10. Or subjective disease activity index less than 3.3. All right. So these are physician associated features. The outcome measures are SDI, CDI, and DAS 28. So here the remission value is going to be 2.6. Here it is going to be less than 2.8. This is clinical, this is subjective, and this is disease activity score. So here clinical assessment is there, so there is no use of acute phase reactants here. ESR and CRP are not used here. All right. So this finishes our extraarticular manifestations and clinical features. The next part will be on the treatment. Thank you.